Why would anyone want to drink their own urine?
When you drink urine, you get 3,000 compounds, metabolites. Every single neurotransmitter is in your urine. Every single hormone is in your urine.
So whatever was in me that morning, I'm drinking it.
Yes.
Is that urine right there? So you're going to drink the whole thing. You're going to drink it on camera.
That's not much. Yeah, I'll do that. Try putting it on your skin.
You're saying put it on your face?
Yes.
People think it's just waste. What is it? Like, why is it so good? What's up, Well Builders? Today, I have got an investigative journalist on who researches health and all of these alternative medicine techniques and ways to improve your body and everything else. And as you know, I've been on a health journey myself, doing a whole bunch of different things like peptides and all this other stuff that's increased everything tremendously. And I actually met this guy at a mastermind, and he started telling me a crazy thing about drinking your own urine. And he actually made a really good case to the point where I was like, man, I don't know if this guy's just a really good sales guy or if like this is legit. And I was like, dude, we have to talk about this more in depth. I'm bringing you on. So I got Jonathan Otto. What's up, man?
Not too much, man. Just keeping it real, keeping busy.
So why would anyone want to drink their own urine?
I'll start with biology, like in terms of where we came from and how this is critical. Like, so firstly, if people think that they can explore and go, they think they're going to find all the answers out in outer space, they're missing the real point. If you want to understand the actual essence of what there is to know, go deeper into your origins and where you came from, and you'll start to realize there's so much there that science is now validating and helping us to understand why these mechanisms have been so powerful, and why the things that we've dismissed as being like, let's say, a waste product, that they are incredibly important, fundamental, that we wouldn't survive without them. They help us thrive, all these types of things. So coming to the womb. So the womb is interesting because one, anyone that's listening to this, as much as they want to discredit me, tell me where a baby urinates. What do they do? Is there a potty somewhere where they can kind of go and take a leak and then come back and make sure they don't infect themselves, or are they peeing in their own house in that environment? Are they suspended in their urine? Would that not make sense? Like, we'd all have to understand that babies are urinating and they urinate rapidly, and they are urinating hourly often, or every few hours, and they're drinking their urine, which is interesting. Especially accelerates in the third trimester. You're talking about every 3 hours, and the babies are selecting urine based on taste. Nobody told them to do that. They're just doing it. What is that? What's that mechanism? There should be a lot of awe and mystery and wonder, not dismissal and disgust. Because firstly, I just want to say this, that Big Pharma, if you have a petrochemical drug-based institution, the best thing that they can do is make you disgusted with yourself and with your own body, and how you, even as an infant, self-healed. When a baby in the third trimester is often battling different conditions or things that are happening in the womb, like bright spots in the heart, fluid cysts in the brain. What's it doing? How does it correct these issues? And then you'll understand that urine is a signaling system to the baby. It's helping the body recognize toxins. And it's not just that it's not that it's giving you toxins, and I can explain this mechanism. It's that it's giving you a filtrate version of that. It's a metabolite version of that toxin. And it's also, the most important aspect is that it's giving you stem cells.
That was how we started talking about this in the first place, because we were at this event and we definitely weren't talking about drinking your own urine. We were talking about my son, and I was talking about how, like, yeah, you know, we've given him a lot of different functional treatments, right? Like, and we were getting ready to take him to UCLA and other stuff. And, you know, he has special needs. And so we're trying to figure out what exactly it is. And one of the things we actually did was we gave him stem cells. And the stem cells for sure were one of the biggest boosts that I saw.
Wow.
His energy increased. It was crazy. It was like night and day,
wow.
Before and after, and how much more active and everything he was, and more talkative, and, you know, all these things. So anyways, I was telling you that, and you were like, well, what if, you know, stem cells were free? And what if they were actually, or you framed it in a weird way. You were like, what if you didn't have to pay 15 grand for stem cells? And what if the stem cells that he got were actually like his own body's produced stem cells that were unique to his DNA that knew exactly what he needed. Would you be interested in that? And I was like, well, yeah. And then, I didn't know what rabbit hole that was about to lead me down, but here we are.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Because what I was doing was telling you every attractive quality or important aspect that you would need to assess. And then finally coming now, here's the objection. It's going to be an area that you perhaps until this point have considered to be disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
But now if everything else I said was true, would it be worth reassessing whether you should be disgusted?
Here's my thing. I am always open-minded to everything. I'm not, as much as people think I might be like, I know everything or am closed-minded. I'm actually not. That's why I end up doing so many things. I'm like,
I can tell.
Tell me more about why you do that the way you do that. I'm a naturally curious person. Mm. And when it comes to health and everything, one thing is for sure, I do not trust big pharma or the government or anything. That much is certain. Okay. So when your whole business is predicated on people being sick in order for you to make money, I don't like that. The incentives don't align.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would never trust. I mean, and I don't, if you polled 100% of people right now, I would guess 10% might trust them.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope so. Right? I hope it is that low. And obviously I hope they trust them when it comes to a trauma event, like you've got a leg that has been broken or something, a finger has been severed.
Well, that's different than the hospital. I'm talking about like these drug companies.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So compartmentalizing and we're on the same page. These are the therapies or things that we know they're good at. And basically when it comes to sickness, disease, then there's not really much to offer. And in fact, there's a lot of demonization and things of things that actually do work. And that's certainly historically what happened with urine as the most efficacious treatment for practically every disease. And then you'd say, well, this is all hyperbolic and I'm just making things up. I'm just saying things. I can tell you unequivocally that urine is certainly the most single studied substance in modern medicine. And this is the reason why it is used in so many different medications. And not just to the point where there are certain things where they will resemble the structure of urine, like with murine as an example, which is for ear infections and eye infections. This is a synthetic urine, which is carbamide and hydrogen peroxide. I'm talking now specifically for the ears and ear infections. But then you come over to something like urokinase and you'll find that the companies that are doing the extractions of the urine to take the urokinase are actually like Enzymes of America and Porta-John. It's owned by the same company, or Enzymes of America own Porta-John, the Porta-Blue company or Porta-Urinal company.
Got it.
So you're urinating thinking it's just going into waste, but it's actually getting collected. The urokinase, which is an enzyme that breaks down proteins, is getting extracted out. Yeah. And now you're buying it for blood clots and for cancer.
You're saying these porta potty companies are keeping the waste and selling it.
The smart ones, yes. Not all of them, but absolutely. I can tell you that
what companies are doing this?
Porta-John, certainly they were. I don't track all their their movements, but yes, they were excited to be a part of at that 30 years ago when a book like Your Own Perfect Medicine was written by Martha Christie. She was documenting everything that was going on at that point, and they were excited to be a part of a $500 million industry just for urokinase back then, which was the enzyme from urine. So that was great. That was a huge opportunity. There was another company, Air Sorrento, that were back in 1992. They did $855 million in 1 year by selling postmenopausal women's urine to women trying to fall pregnant. The women that were giving their urine were volunteers, and the women that were getting the urine were paying $1,400.
They were selling urine for $1,400.
Yep. Yeah, for a treatment. And so
they made $800 million doing this.
Yeah. In 1 calendar year.
I'm in the wrong business, dude. I'm in the wrong business.
Exactly. But then the good thing is with people like you, because you are an incredibly caring person. You do this because you care. You want people to get results, and that's what you did with your financial wealth business and giving people solutions and strategies. That's why you're talking about health. You would be like me here, getting the information to the public for free, so that people, regardless of your financial status, can understand this and how to do it yourself. So we could save a lot of people, help a lot of people.
So with urine, okay? I mean, we're just like, hey, it's so good for you. Why?
Yeah. So I'll come to the most,
And why is it not waste? Where did that story even come from?
Yeah, sure. So I do think that probably what happened was that it because it was understood as a medicine through history. And I can tell you all the different cultures that
tell me the cultures.
Sure, like Egyptian and ancient Judaism. So then you see it in ancient texts, and then you see it, and like with Judaism, then you see it during the bubonic plague in Europe, that they used it as one of the things that helped them survive that. They were actually accused of creating the bubonic plague because they were largely untouched by it. Urine was not the only thing, though. The sanitation laws may have been the most critical part because they were using the books of like Leviticus to help navigate that too. But then you look at Greece, Rome.
But like, so with the Jews, you're talking the Old Testament.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Where's that?
Sure. So there are verses that are interesting, like Proverbs 5, drink water from thine own well, draw water from thine own cistern. So that sounds like it could be urine therapy. I can tell you that the verse is definitely about adultery.
Mm-hmm.
But the question is, does it have a double meaning? And is the primary meaning on urine therapy? And this is also, Proverbs actually does have a lot of references to Egyptian text as well, even though it's not plagiarizing. It's within a worldview and a culture, much like what you see with Jesus. You can see that he's interfacing with different cultures, and Paul is bringing up things that were believed by the people and different things like this. So you see a lot because it's huge in Egyptian culture. And so you see it come through all these different texts. But I mean, even one of the fascinating things is you go to Genesis 2 and it says, God breathed into Adam's nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul.
Mm-hmm.
Then now you go to the womb, you think, okay, well, what happens? And the baby actually urinates and starts, urinating more around the 8 to 10 week mark. At the 10 week mark, right around there somewhere, the urine will go through the nostrils and through the mouth, and it will actually go through and form the lungs. What you'll find is, if you look up any studies, it will tell you that the lungs are largely formed by the amniotic fluid. And then you look into what is amniotic fluid, and you realize the amniotic fluid is actually urine. And then when you look at what happened with the Wake Forest study last year from the Wake Forest University of Regenerative Medicine, they found 100 million stem cells in a 24-hour urine sample from a single adult male. And they kept replicating this over and over with every person in the study. And this was actually when they would leave it sit, and which is what's happening in the womb as well. The baby is actually in fresh and aged urine. And when they let the urine sit, it went from originally 24 hours, they found 140 clonal stem cells. They let it sit for 3 weeks. It proliferated at a rate of 1 times 10 to the power of 8, which is 100 million stem cells in 3 weeks. And what they found with these stem cells is that these stem cells would not form cancer. They would not form tumors, teratomas, which are false, creations of mixed cells and things that aren't functional. And instead, what has now been found as well is that urine-derived stem cells have regulatory mechanisms where they solve issues when it comes to dysregulation in the body.
Mm-hmm.
And they can actually, what you'll find is, if you research stem cells, you'll find that stem cells, like a mesenchymal stem cell, which a urine-derived stem cell is basically a mesenchymal stem cell.
Mm-hmm.
What they can do is they gravitate towards cancerous tumors.
Okay. And
they'll instruct a cancerous tumor, a cancerous stem cell, to differentiate back into a normal healthy cell.
So that's crazy.
Yeah. So there's more to say on that, but I just want to quickly come back before you go there to that biology of the mirror image between God breathing into Adam's nostrils the breath of life, man becoming a living soul, and then only us, like basically in 2008, a researcher then finding, oh wow, there's stem cells in urine. Now it makes sense.
It took until 2008 to realize that?
Yes, exactly. And that's why everything now needs to be reassessed of what's happening in the womb, now that you know that urine is filled with stem cells. And you have
But did they know that babies, because my wife actually told me that one time. She was like, did you know like babies drink their own urine?
Yeah.
I was like, really? That's weird. And
Exactly.
then I met you and I was like, this is coming up again.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but it wasn't known, and stem cells weren't even known about up until around then. It's a very
stem cells are new. I remember like when Kobe Bryant like went and got them done around then, and it was like, what is he doing? He's getting baby stem cells in his knee. Like, what is going on here?
Exactly.
It was weird.
And that was always still urine derivative. So when they were getting it from amniotic fluid, and we'll put like, if people got it from an unborn baby, like a fetus, like you and I, others would say, no, this is not the right way to do it. That's unethical. We're for life, not against life. But the amazing thing about the actual reality is when this amniotic fluid that's in the mother's womb is actually the baby's urine. And this is why it's now getting used for stem cell injections into knees, and it's aged cultured urine. And this is where you're getting all those stem cells. And so, yeah, but closing the loop on that, like there are these religious references, and it comes through all these different cultures, and it does make sense now what's happening in the womb. It's all to do with this amazing tapestry of life and how life is created. And you've got stem cells that are going in and forming organs. And it makes sense because you have a genetic blueprint, which is formed by the semen and the eggs combining. And so now you have these same regenerative organs, the penis and the vagina, that through which the urine is coming and the semen is coming from the penis as well. And so now what is happening, you're seeing like a source and a channel. Source, so the original materials, the semen, that's the original genetic blueprint, and the combination with the fertilization with the egg of the woman. Now the urine is actually the supporter of life. It's the channel. And the urine, like for example, if you just saw a visual image right now of a heart outside of a body being created on a scaffold, you'll start to realize the power of stem cells. When a stem cell attaches to something that instructs it of what it should be, it will just differentiate. It will be a cell that doesn't have any identity, doesn't know what it is, doesn't have any disposition, just needs it needs the trigger of what it needs to be. When it attaches to that blueprint, it then becomes that heart cell or anything else. So what's happening in the womb, the urine of the baby is actually being recycled. It's being drank by the baby, and now it's coming out, it's recycling, and then it's attaching. It's going transdermal through the skin. It's going in the body, and it's attaching to the genetic blueprint, and it's helping in the formation of the baby. So it's so much part of the fabric of life that it's a travesty that this now got regarded as a waste product.
So obviously we know that it's used by babies, and like it's crucial to their development.
Yeah.
And as you look at it just in like the context of, everything else, it's like, yeah, okay, I can kind of see what you're saying there. At what point then, like, did we stop, realizing that, this actually might be a good thing? Because you were telling me something about a study the US did a while ago where they were like, hey, like this is a good alternative. Mm-hmm. What happened with that?
Yeah, like a good alternative to what particular thing?
You were saying something like a study was published about how urine could help with cancer and everything like 70, 80 years ago.
Yeah,
then it just kind of like fell away.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And those are so important to look at. Man, this is just like the tragic history of how every treatment that went against the big pharma system, it was all to do with Carnegie and Rockefeller, by the way. The Flexner Report in 1910, that was like this.
By the way, those guys jacked up the school system too.
Yeah, you got it. They wanted to make people like not think for themselves.
Yeah.
It was like a drone thing.
So, so if they jacked up the school systems, what did they do with urine?
First, it was everything about the petrochemical like revolution of drugs, and that every school that was doing natural therapies were just getting demolished by these guys, and they were showering this money on any school and lecturers that would favor the drugs. And so naturally there was this huge departure, and this happened. And then we just got indoctrinated with this. And so like that kind of happened. And like, it wasn't a lot of cultures that are around today, like Chinese, Japanese, Taiwanese, Indian, and then Native American Indian, Australian Aboriginal. All these cultures were carrying this forward, all this information about urine therapy. It went down thousands of years. It was so important. It was urine wasn't regarded as a waste product. It was regarded as the gold of the blood, the elixir of youth, the sculpture of the fountain of youth, of immortality was a little boy peeing.
Yeah.
Yes. And like reference the Wake Forest study. If you're in the 20 to 40-year-old age group, 75% of your urine-derived stem cells would produce telomerase positive activity, which means the ability to lengthen a telomere, reverse aging, which is to like reclaim youth, And if you were 50 and up, it was 59.2% of your urine-derived stem cells could regenerate, reverse aging, turn back the clock. So they knew this. We have a study now that backs it, but they just knew it. So they didn't matter what studies they had. They knew it and they saw the evidence of it. If you were in societies where royalty knew about this, what would happen was it would be illegal to actually keep your own baby's diapers. They were collected by the royalty and used in their bathing systems and for their cosmetics and their own ingestion because of this telomerase activity. So now come back to, so they understood how powerful it was. This then got smashed by this revolution of this disease care. The medical symbol becomes a serpent, which is not the same serpent.
Now I'm thinking about that. I'm like, why is the serpent? A serpent's never been liked since the beginning.
Exactly. And it's not the same one from Genesis and it is actually the one from Genesis, but it's not the one from Exodus. It's not the one that Moses is holding up to its.
You know what's funny is people don't know this in Genesis, but like the serpent used to have legs and stuff.
Yeah.
For anybody who wants to know, like my kid, we watch Superbook like literally all day, every day. And so it's like all animated and like they have the story of Genesis with Adam. And this is a side note, but like we were just doing a Bible study on Genesis and the snake. Actually, this was literally last week. And, like the question was, hey, why would God allow this deceiver, this serpent in the garden? Like, why didn't he just get rid of it? Like, and then none of this would have happened. Right. And, the question we should be asking is, why did Adam allow the snake in his garden?
Wow.
Because God gave Adam dominion over, he said, hey, this is your garden, tend to it. Like literally, people don't know this. The first thing God ever did was give Adam a job, and he was a landscaper.
Yeah.
He was like, take care of the garden. And then he said, go name all the animals. And like, that's what happened, right? So Adam knew what the serpent was. He had named him. He literally gave him the name. And he allows him into this garden, and he ends up tempting his wife and everything else. And it's like the whole Bible study. This is Wealthy Kingdom, by the way, for anybody who wants to be in these Bible studies. But the moral of the story was, hey guys, what are the serpents that you're allowing in your domain?
Wow.
In your business, near your family, near your kids, because their danger and yet you allow them near it. And I was like, dang, dude, get rid of them all. Yeah. So anyways,
that's so good. And backing you on that point, it does say on your belly you shall go. Yeah. Right. So I think you're right.
Oh, well, no, go watch it in Superbook, dude. It's so funny. Like this serpent's
I've seen it.
tempting.
I've seen it.
He's got like little arms and stuff. Like, and I'm like, and then all of a sudden, God takes him and he just like literally chokes him out and just throws him. His legs are just gone. Yeah.
And because it makes sense. Why would it say on your belly you shall go if he was already going on his belly? So it's clear that it did have legs. And so you're right. And so the medical symbol becomes a serpent. And then if you look up, where did this come from? What does this mean? And it will specifically tell you it's from like the World Health Organization, which is obviously not a health organization. It's basically owned by Bill Gates, right? So
freaking Bill. If anyone trusts Bill Gates at this point too, I don't even know.
I know, right? There's not much more we can say, right? So
his own wife didn't trust him at this point. Like, what do you do? WealthCon's coming back to Vegas, January 8th to the 11th. Now, if you've been to our events, you know how epic they are. We have the best time, not only with just great content, great speakers, but we have a lot of fun with the after parties and the masterminds and everything else. And number one, it's probably the best networking opportunity in the entire game. We have over 1,000 investors and entrepreneurs at each one, and this will be no different. In fact, this is gonna be my favorite WealthCon ever. We've got some amazing speakers coming, people like Tim Tebow, Thach Nguyen, Gabrielle Lyon, the list goes on. It is going to be an epic event, and I wanna see you there. So if you're interested in attending, get your tickets now because they will not last. Go to wealthcon.org and get them today. Everyone knows that my favorite way to build wealth is through real estate investing. That's the reason that I started Wealthy Investor, where we've trained thousands of students. But here's the thing. I've noticed that so many people fail to get started in real estate because they're worried about the money. They don't know where they're going to get the money to buy a house or flip or handle their renovations and things like that. And so they just never get started. I want to change that. And that's why I created a brand new free course that goes over 5 different ways that you could buy houses without using any of your own money today. and I'm going to give you it completely for free. All you have to do is go to wealthyinvestor.com/podcast. I've made it specifically for you. The moment you go to that link, you'll be able to go get access to it and learn how you can start buying houses today without any of your own money. And if you're somebody who already has a real estate business and who wants to scale, we want to help you too. You can click the link below and book a free strategy call with our team if that's you. Here's one of my things with conspiracy theories is like, I'm not even a conspiracy theorist. I'm like a common sense guy.
Yeah.
And so when I look at common sense, I'm like, okay, like this dude's caught with whatever his name was, Epstein or whatever.
Yeah.
And then like his wife divorces him very quickly after and like all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I think there's probably there's a lot going on behind the scenes, you know, like
Exactly.
you don't think they knew the consequences of like what was going to happen when that, like, I'm sure they tried to stop that from happening, you know, and it just became too much, right?
Exactly.
And then you just like look at, why is this dude buying up all the farms? Why is this dude own the World Health Organization? Why is this dude doing like so hard into vaccines, like even before COVID? And I'm like, why would anyone trust this guy?
Exactly. It's like they completely showed their hands at this point. Just look at that. I mean, try to discern what the character of who's speaking. And then if you think you're just getting your marching orders from your doctors, think again, because who are they answering to? And the answer is to the WHO. And then Bill Gates is the majority owner there. And so basically you're getting your health advice, not
He's
from your
the
doctor.
owner?
He owns the bigger part of the WHO.
So are they like a for-profit or what? What are they?
Oh, I'm not sure if I couldn't tell you exactly the structure.
Okay.
But I can tell you that like that's where your marching orders are coming from. Absolutely. And
Come from Bill Gates.
yeah, you've got him on your health case.
The nerd of the internet is
Exactly.
giving health orders.
Which makes sense that what do we call this thing, this mysterious thing that affects us? A virus.
Computer.
You see, and how do we get conditioned into this? Well, because we'd already been conditioned that your computer gets a virus and then you get a software update or an antivirus. And then that's how you get rid of that problem. And so you got conditioned into this. And so even just this kind of mysterious belief on this virus that jumps from me to you, I'm not saying there isn't transmissibility, but this whole thing, like if you look at these mysterious diseases that are allegedly just kind of coming out of thin air, when you start cottoning onto this thing of this is not possible for it to happen in this natural way. And I gave examples of that with COVID. The same thing happened with HIV, where why is HIV homologous with a snake venom, a bunga or a toxin? Why is it the exact homology sequence, which means it has the same origin? And this is mainstream scientific literature, which shows you that HIV wasn't from some guy that had sex with some African guy that had sex with a monkey. Again, racial slurs.
Yeah, that's what they'll say.
And look at the kinds of people that are behind all this major racial stuff while purporting that they're part of the solution.
Do you think that China created like the COVID or anything?
I don't think that it was that specific nationality or that country per se, because if anyone was like the chief architects, I would have to say that it had to come, I think it was the chief architects were here in America, but there was certainly, but I don't know those things for a fact. I do know that there was a universal collaboration.
Got it.
That's clear.
So let's get back to urine.
Yes.
Okay. So
you mentioned about cancer as well, so we can get there.
Yeah. Like there's all these studies back then that were saying, hey, urine helps with XYZ. And then at some point the narrative changed.
Yeah.
And you know, then it was associated with, oh, it's waste. Like it's useless.
Yeah.
So like what happened? I mean, is it just money? It's just like these big companies? Because even like I had Dr. Gabrielle Lyon on, and she talked about the history of the FDA and like the budgets of these companies. And she was like, Ryan, think about this. You have these like natural foods, these commodities, steak, not steak, beef, chicken, and all these things, right? Their budget is $750 million, and they're not allowed to talk bad about anything. They can only promote like their products, and that's $750 million. He's like, you want to know like what one company, processed food company, has a budget of? PepsiCo's is $2 billion a year. So they're 3 times, the other like all the natural foods combined.
Wow.
And she's like, just think about that, because they're not governed by the same regulations. They're governed by the FTC. The commodities are governed, I think maybe it was by the FDA.
Yeah.
And with FTC, it's like anything goes. They're going to bang you, it for one thing or another, right? But anyways, with the other stuff, it was like, where's this stuff coming from? Like somehow fake meat is better than real meat. Like, where's this narrative coming that the cows are polluting the earth?
Oh yeah.
And like the chickens are the problem. And then she brought it up. She's like, literally the cows and all that, like they make up like 8% of the emissions.
Yeah.
The airplanes and everything make up the rest.
Of course. All right. It's just an animal. Like they've been here forever.
But yet we're spending so much marketing dollars to slam home that the cows are the problem.
Yeah.
And that you need to eat fake meat to save the earth.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, yeah. As a marketer, I now get it. Whoever has the most attention, whoever has the most money can push the narrative.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, all right, I literally don't believe anything I hear, period, because it's all just money. Like it's just literally how the world works.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's what happened. Like to answer your question, back in 1948, J.W. Armstrong records this in his book, Water of Life, where he shows how there were 300 physicians that over 12 years had studied this. It was called the H11 extract, which is just human urine injected for cancer. And over those 12 years, they found this so efficacious that they would find remission of symptoms, remission of cancer in these periods of time over long enough time. Like 12 years is certainly long enough to be conclusive. And they had 300 physicians come together with thousands of laboratory studies, hundreds of human case studies, showed that it was completely efficacious. It worked so well. In some cases, they had 100% success rates with reversing cancer, putting cancer in remission. And so did it get listened to? Absolutely not. Did it get railroaded? Absolutely. It was stonewalled. That was in Europe in 1948. Fast forward 1966, Atlantic City, New Jersey, two researchers there found that every time that they would take urine and put it with cancer cells in vitro, which is on a petri dish, they would find that it would cause the cancer cells to line up into end-to-end straight rows. It was instructing cancer. It was intelligence. It was communication, which is interesting that when these other studies then came out more recently showing that urine-derived stem cells actually are regulatory. They instruct the body. They tell the body what to do. And then you look at biology and you look at how this is an intelligent system. It's living water. It's instructing the body. It's instructing, in this sense, the baby how it should grow, and it's correcting issues in the baby while it's also forming the health and of the baby. So now, how did they get us with this issue of the waste product? Well, what we have in our urine is these structures that will score. Like you are somebody that gets tests done, and you can have a look. You can do a urine test, and you'll say, "Look, there's heavy metals in my urine. There's mercury. There's aluminum. There's these mycotoxins, and these different.
There's all this junk. Yep,
exactly. And so then you say, "Well, why would I drink this? This is terrible. It's toxic. Look at this." But there's a misunderstanding here. You're not looking at the substance itself. You're looking at a metabolic version of it. It's not the same thing.
Okay, explain.
Okay, so your body has a method of distilling and of taking a substance and converting it. And in the case of mercury, firstly, like if you look at case studies, clinically published studies of people that are mercury poisoned, then you'd be curious to find out how much mercury is in their urine. And it's actually infinitesimal amounts, not large amounts, which is again proving that urine is not the waste removal system. Feces is, and this is why babies don't
eat their own poop.
They don't. Yeah, they have meconium that's blocking that so that they can't do bowel movements, but they urinate frequently. So the purification is in the urine. They don't, but what they do have is these fractal substances that is basically like a 3D print of what is in the body, and it's giving you a scan, it's giving you information. This is a metabolic distillation of your blood that is a purification. It's a sterile product that is giving you that information to feed back your body to remove that specific poison. So it needs that information. And it makes sense because you got sold on the idea of vaccines, which is exactly the concept which they borrowed from urine therapy. It's to take an antigen, a toxin, to use it to cancel out. And that's how they used it for cancer, because all these different studies were showing, like it had these different names. The researchers in Atlantic City, they called it directin. And because it would direct the stems or the cancer cells of what they should do, it would order them up. And then but most of these studies, the H11 extract, the HUD, the ones that were coming out over, through Japan and Europe, and they were using the antigens to cancer so that they would reintroduce them into the body. So the body would then produce an antibody against the antigen to cancer so that the body could recognize it. That's what happens with what you perceive as a waste product. You have antigens to cancer in your urine, and what happens when you reintroduce it, it creates an antibody response in the body. That is a lock and key, and the body says, I see you, cancer. Now I know what you are, where you are, and I can resolve this situation.
I guess the question would be, I mean, if it is doing things like that, why wouldn't it just always heal cancer? Why would it, I guess, varying degrees of work?
Why would, ask it again, why would urine,
okay, if it's this bulletproof thing, why wouldn't it just always work? And why wouldn't it just always have 100% success rate of killing or curing cancer?
Exactly. And maybe it does. One, I would say that there are other factors. For example, let's say, if there's any one magic bullet, I would say it is urine, because of the fact that your body is producing the antigens, antibodies, anti-venoms. These are all produced in the urine naturally. So the reason why we may need more support is simply that those functions need to be supported more. So for example, urine can help chelate heavy metals out of the body. And so the studies that show that people that are mercury toxic, when they take their urine, it actually drops their mercury levels, doesn't increase them. So it's like proving what I'm saying. And same with parasitics and things like that. It'll actually drop parasitic levels. But I'm saying that you have to understand the mechanism and then support those mechanisms. Like, let's say, for example, you look at the studies right now coming out on fenbendazole, which is a canine dewormer that's on MD Anderson as an anti-cancer drug, and it actually does work. It helps people put cancer in remission. Membendazole is proven to kill cancer stem cells, which is the human version of the fenbendazole. These antiparasitics do work to help kill cancer cells, or help with the dysregulation in the body that then helps your body recognize cancer to kill parasites. So I'm saying that it's better to take people to an elevated state where they realize all the different mechanisms. Like, if you have all these different toxins in your body, how can you use urine? How can you use other substances to help get these poisons out? If you do that, you can expect, to me, a complete reversal of any condition.
You just need to know what to put in.
Exactly.
So you're saying just urine is one piece of the equation.
Exactly. And but it's the one that does the most amount of functions and may be the biggest catch-all therapy and may resolve everything for somebody. But I never bank on that. I'm just saying, let's use all these different things. Yeah.
What was the thing that Trump got in trouble for? Originally, it was rat poison.
Bleach. They were saying that, hydrogen, it's not the hydrogen peroxide. It was the chlorine dioxide. He didn't say that, but he said bleach. And then people thought, okay, is this a reference to hydroxychloroquine for anti-COVID? But I can say that the chlorine dioxide has been listed as a universal antidote. And I'm mind blown on the case studies I've seen with that. I spent a weekend with Dr. Andreas Kalkas, who's one of the most prolific researchers, a German biophysicist. He showed me footage that I think I sent some to you.
Yeah.
That healing in people, he showed me video after video. They'd counted over 1,000 cases of children that had completely reversed autism. When I was with him, I was with a woman, there's a medical doctor in Puerto Rico whose son was completely nonverbal until age 10. He's 23 now. He's got a university degree, works a full-time job. Everything is normal, completely nonverbal till age 10. They used chlorine dioxide.
Mm-hmm.
And he showed me these cases with cancer. He showed me these cases where people completely bedridden with Guillain-Barré syndrome. All they could move was their eyelids, and then they were out as if nothing happened to them in days using chlorine dioxide. And it sounds like crazy, but then if it corrects the systems in the body, maybe it's possible, maybe it can be. And I think it's true. I think that those therapies work. It's an oxidative therapy. What it does is it causes your body it causes a reaction. It corrects the electrical systems of the body through. It's a negative electrolyte mineral, and you're causing the electrical systems of your body to recorrect when you use these substances.
Yeah. You know what I've realized is, as I've been searching for all the different ways to, improve my son's life and treatments and everything, it led me to the realization that doctors and business people are very similar, because for me as a business guy, I have an idea of what works, right? I can diagnose a business and say, hey, I think that this is the problem. I've seen this before. You're showing signs that your marketing is just bad. You're not getting enough leads, or hey, your sales team needs work, or, hey, your offer's bad. Like I could diagnose a business like it was a body. But if you're going to try something new, you don't necessarily know if it's going to work in that particular business. Like, hey, I can tell we're not getting enough leads. I can tell you're not getting enough oxygen. I can tell, whatever, right? How are we going to fix it? Well, we can try this, but this marketing strategy might not work. It just might not work for your product or your business or your industry. And so we got to try a different one. If you're watching this show, my guess is you're probably an entrepreneur who's trying to grow your business. And for me, the best thing I ever did to grow my business was build my personal brand on social media. It's allowed me to get more revenue. It's allowed me to raise more capital, and it's allowed me to hire better talent. And if you are not currently creating content for your brand, you're missing out, and your competition is. So if you want to learn to grow, my advice is to create a podcast. Now, there's a lot that goes into building a podcast and why I believe it's the best way. So I've actually created a free training that I want you to go check out. If you go to pinedamedia.com/podcast, you can go access the free training right now and see how a podcast is going to be the best decision to grow your personal brand today. So go check it out by clicking the link below, and I'll see you in the training. And like, I've realized that that's the case for a lot of these doctors where they're like, hey, I think your son could have this. Let's try this and see how it goes. Like, that's essentially how it always happens. It's like, nobody ever can say, and it's true. It's like, you can't say this is 100% guaranteed what's going to fix it. And this is the thing. And whatever. Right. Cause even then, we ordered a genetic test. They're like, hey, we're going to get him a genetic test. And I'm like, okay, cool. So what's this genetic test going to tell us? Like, is it going to like, well, the thing with the genetic test is like, if he has, this type of genetic thing, there's still nothing we can really do about it. It's just that we know that that's the thing. And I'm like, so in my mind as a business guy, I start always thinking of analogies, and I'm like, so basically that's the same thing as like looking at a bank account and saying, yeah, I can tell you don't have money, but yeah, there's not really much we can do about it. Like, you just don't have money. And
exactly,
it's like, well, we need to figure out like a way to reverse this situation. If we don't have money, let's try something to get money.
Yeah.
Okay, he has this genetic deficiency. What can heal this genetic deficiency and switch it?
Exactly.
Instead of like, this is what it is. Like, let's just figure out how to like live with it.
Exactly. And I want to give you credit, Ryan. One, you're brilliant, and you apply this type of mindset in various areas of your life, which is why you've become so successful. And it's also the thing that I believe will lead you to a complete recovery with your son. I do believe that. And I admire that. And that is the pattern to success. And somebody that says, well, you're not a medical doctor, how can you both talk about these things? And I'm like, how can you not talk about these things when the science is there in front of you, and it's up to you to look through it and to.
Well, and that's the other part too, is like a doctor only knows how they've been trained.
Exactly.
Right. They have it from like one viewpoint of how they do things. And it's like, man, I look at things in business too. And I'm like, all right, that person's really good at Facebook ads.
Yeah.
That's all they know. And if it doesn't work with that, there's no way anything could work.
Exactly.
And I'm like, dude, there's like 100 ways to go generate. You just have to try what's, can work for you.
It's exactly the same.
And I realized that. I was like, you say, because I even told him, I was like, well, here's what we did. Stem cells like actually worked. I saw it firsthand.
Amazing.
She's like, yeah, we wouldn't have recommended that. And I'm like, okay, but it worked.
Yeah, you're only discrediting yourself by saying that to me right now.
But it was still like, I want to hear like how you would go about treating this and everything too. Because I do want like a super high level, doctor's opinion. But I also want to hear the functional doctor's opinion. Exactly. I also want to hear the conspiracy theorist opinion.
I got pointed at that.
Yeah, I want to hear them all.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. And
whoever can make me the best argument of like why this is the path, that's what I'll go with.
Exactly. And you approach that with a place of non-judgment, which is what helps in that assessment.
Yeah.
Because I'll listen to that person as well. What's your number one therapy? I want to know. Okay, sure. Let's try it then. And I'll try it all. I have tried it all. And that's why, I researched urine therapy. It was Dr. Rashid Buttar, who's Kennedy's doctor, that was the first one that called me. He was one of my best friends and mentors. And he said, look, this is it. This is the answer. And then that was what we used to help then all these people reverse their COVID vaccine injuries, horrific, life-threatening conditions. and I can share some of those stories. But the thing that about all of that was that it was all about just trying it and being willing to do it on myself, and then helping guide people through that thought process so that they could actually, eliminate and try some different things. And the things that we found were working were urine therapy, nicotine, which was really interesting, not smoking, but that was so effective at helping some of my best friends that had their parents that were bedridden because of either COVID or the vaccine injuries. By putting nicotine patches on, we were getting them out in days and things like that. Surprising things.
Wow.
But if you look at the science that backs it, you'll find there are published studies on nicotine and myocarditis in murine models, in mouse models, where they were able to apply this nicotine over a 2-week period and find a dramatic remission of symptoms of myocarditis in mice with just applying nicotine. And that's an in vivo study in life. It's actually conducted. And then you've got studies that were showing glioma, which a glioma is a aggressive brain tumor. So a glioma C6 cell, a regression in these gliomas, they were turned on by alpha conotoxins and alpha cobra-toxins. These are PubMed published studies. So gliomas turned on by animal venoms, brain tumors. We should know about this. People should know that this happens. And how long did it take to turn on these tumors? Days. They could actually create tumors in mice in days. And why were they doing that? Because they're trying to find drugs that will mimic nicotine. And then which is amazing. So we should know that glyphosate is made by Monsanto. Bayer is the parent company. And and leading up to the creation of glyphosate, they had the patents in cone snail venom as a pesticide, in scorpion venom as a pesticide, spider venom as a pesticide, and they're getting sprayed on our foods. Does it make sense why multi-million, $100 million plus suits have been won against Bayer and Monsanto because they were causing all these aggressive types of cancers in people, just like they did in these mouse models? And I'm saying that it's because we are getting envenomated and we don't even know it. And they're binding to these receptors. These receptors, when they're bound to, cause a dysregulation in the body. And the body's actually misfiring and creating aberrant cells that don't have a correct identity. They don't know what they're forming into. And then what happened in this study that I'm referencing, they were able to apply nicotine in a 72-hour period. It had a 50% reduction in the tumor. Wouldn't you want to know that? And now, why did they not push it past 72 hours and show that potentially one therapy could actually cause a complete remission of that tumor growth? 2, why didn't they publish that in the abstract so people could see it in the introduction? Why did they bury that in the study? Even though you could see it visually with your eyes and you could see the reduction in the tumor growth, it said more than 2 times, it looks more like 3 or 4 times. So these were the therapies that we started to apply to all these vaccine injury cases. We saw people that were like having these horrific heart palpitations where they were candidates for these heart attacks, menstrual bleeding. One woman, Gloria Charlene, I met her at the start of 2023. And she was horrifically bleeding. She had an induced period every month. So she bled 16 days out of the month ever since, which started 2 hours after her second Pfizer shot. And she had these horrific migraines. She had heart palpitations from that day forward for 2 years straight without a day where she didn't have a heart palpitation. And she then gets her 17-year-old kind of set up for whatever care that she needs if and when she was going to die, because the writing was on the wall. The first day she drinks her urine after I showed her in January of this year, she then has a remission. Her heart palpitations stop and never come back again. She uses the nicotine as well. She had a complete remission of all those symptoms, all the painful periods, all that went away. Everything is normal. Her hair is growing really thick and soft. Her knees don't crack and pop. Her feet aren't chapped. That's showing the stem cell aspect of urine. It like that, they're regenerative. When people are showing soft hair and their nails are growing fast, their hair is growing fast, that's showing that not only are we putting disease in reverse, we're actually helping people regenerate.
You know what's crazy? I heard somebody sold me a statistic about Pfizer. They're like, did you know in Pfizer's first 100 years of existence or something crazy? I forget what it was. They're like, it took them 100 years to make, it was like $100 billion. Like that's what they made their first 100 years. They're like, do you want to know what they made when they released the vaccine? And I was like, I can kind of guess. And they're like, $100 billion they made in what took 100 years in 1 year. And I was like, yeah, there's a lot to lose if, there's a lot to gain by loading everybody up with booster shots.
Exactly. And then the next thing is, could they have created it? You see what I mean?
Yeah, it's
is
crazy.
It more plausible than a bat in a meat market? Or is it more plausible than something just like a door of a lab opening and somehow it leaks the lab and then somehow it just keeps spreading from person to person? Or is it just that it actually got put into us and we were fed this and this somehow got into our bodies? And then all the treatments that were working, like I had staff that were about to check themselves in for respiratory arrest with COVID. And I was like, look, you know what to do. And they're like, the ivermectin is not working. Like, yes, no, you know what to do. Remember the nicotine. Like I can't get anywhere where I can't get the nicotine. Okay. And even situations where I'm avidly against smoking, as an example, I hate smoking. But like, here's somebody that's about to have respiratory arrest and they could get intubated. They don't have anything except their husband smokes. She grabs a cigarette, smokes it. Within 15 minutes, her respiratory arrest stops. I can tell you the mechanism.
The nicotine in the brain.
Yes.
Yeah.
All venoms bind to alpha-7 nicotinic acetylcholine receptors. Nicotine is preferential for a nicotine receptor. And the venom that's bound to that receptor, that's creating all that issue, because when they bind to these receptors, they block everything. They block.
This is actually making me think once again, I'm like now thinking through my biases, but I'm like, they kind of got rid of nicotine and like punished all the tobacco companies and said, you guys aren't allowed to advertise, period.
Exactly.
Like this is a very bad drug. And I still obviously don't endorse like smoking and stuff, but why did that get banned?
Exactly.
Compared to this other stuff. Hey, get your Oxycontin today, get your whatever. Because like even Dr. Gabrielle Lyon was like, why are steroids demonized for helping you build muscle? But it's all good to go take sleeping pills and these weight loss pills that have far more danger and no upside. I would rather take steroids and have muscle, which is going to protect me, versus freaking Oxycontin and all this other crap that's like, okay.
Yeah, and nicotine is actually in potatoes, tomatoes, eggplants. They're actually in nightshades, and so they're in higher quantities in tobacco. Yeah. When tobacco is ignited, they typically add about 600 chemicals to tobacco, and then when it's ignited, whether it's organic tobacco or not, it's going to ignite into about 6,000 chemicals, and 70 of those are known carcinogens. Now, this is where all the bad rap is coming from. Pyrazines is the toxic chemical that's added to create addiction. All these things come from man's creation, not from the substance itself. I'm still not necessarily like a nicotine guy. I'm not like nicotine's the most amazing thing. I just think it's amazing because of the particular threat that we're under. And it makes sense why all the studies ranging from Parkinson's disease, Tourette syndrome, tinnitus, low hearing, autism, they're showing all of these are on PubMed that will show massive regression in symptoms on each of these cases, aggression with adults with autism over like massive periods of time, like 6 years, massive drop or basically no more aggression with the use of nicotine. Why is that happening? Why are people with Tourette syndrome over 8 weeks with a 7 milligram patch put on? Why are they basically showing a dramatic reduction in symptoms? It's explaining that this mechanism of all these strange behaviors, Parkinson's, are due to these toxic venoms. And even in the Department of Justice article, when you look at the different symptoms, they talk about these different diseases like Parkinson's that are created by the use of cone snail venoms. And so then you start realizing, wow, this actually makes sense why we have such an exponential rise and why people do correctly correlate it with toxic substances like glyphosate, which is a toxic weed killer that we're ingesting because it's sprayed on our food. But why is it so toxic? I'm saying it's because it's using synthetic animal venoms. So what's the best ways to get them out? Urine, because it's an anti-venom. How are anti-venoms create? Nicotine, because it competes with the same receptor.
Yeah, you were telling me that. You're like, what do you do when a jellyfish stings you?
Yeah.
You pee on it.
Exactly.
You just pee on your foot or whatever. Like that's like people know that.
Exactly.
Because you're saying it's an anti-venom.
Exactly. Because it's your blood. Urine is your blood. Urine is plasma, ultra filtrate, ultra filtered plasma, ultra filtered blood. It's your filtered blood. It's actually not the putrefaction of your blood. It's the purification of your blood. And it's a collection of your responses to every toxin that you have. Water holding memory. It is water. It's charged with every reaction in your body. That's why if you go to urinmetabolome.ca, Canadian website, it shows you 5,600 compounds and small molecules, metabolites that are identified in urine. And so you'll find that your urine is actually got the most, like you talk about a peptide being amazing with its with its makeup. You're talking about when you drink urine, you'll get 3,000 compounds, metabolites. Every single neurotransmitter is in your urine. Every single hormone is in your urine. Yeah. And so you're getting all that information and you're getting the antivenoms, because if you're infected, like let's say if you got stung by a specific wasp or a rattlesnake, then that venom, that specific species is having a specific reaction. It's binding to certain receptors. It's having a certain reaction in the body. It's causing a certain clotting and bleeding or any other kind of symptom. What happens is now your body is creating a response to that, an antibody response. Your urine is a collection in the immunoglobulin. It's got the antibody response to that, which is how your body counteracts it. And this is how they do it in large mammals. They'll inject like a cow or a sheep with a tarantula venom or whatever the species they want it for, draw the blood out, spin the blood, and then give this to you. But the problem is it may kill you because the filtration system that they use is nowhere near as good as the kidneys. Kidneys are God's filtration system. It doesn't matter if you had a skyscraper as big as a skyscraper in New York filled with filters, it would not even minutely compare to the kidneys that are able to filter out the bad and keep the good and give you the ability to have responses to these things. And that's why nobody dies from urine therapy, but people die frequently from antivenoms, but your body will produce its own antivenom.
Yeah, I've never heard of anyone die from drinking their own urine.
No,
that's never been a thing.
And if we did, society wouldn't have made it this far because we all used to, like most societies that are known and established did it.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking about it too with, it reminded me when you started to talk about it, when you brought up the jellyfish part, I was like, you know what? I actually remember back in my baseball days, some of the Latin guys would say, hey, if you have blisters, just pee on your hands.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that's weird. And it was like this, I had heard that multiple times and I'm like, it makes sense. Like, they truly, and it's not like I didn't know enough to be like, yeah, it worked. Because I didn't have blisters that often, but it was like, that was a belief that they had from their culture. I never heard that in America.
Exactly. They had a lot of history of urine therapy there in South America.
Yeah.
And and what was amazing about that as well, even in the military, if somebody's burnt and you need to help them with this burn victim, the whole crew or the whole team can urinate on that person and keep them bathed in their urine, because that's the most helpful substance if you've been burnt. And that is true. If you just look up studies on urea and burns, it is the substance that you need for burns. And anyone that is basically like just thinking about this, because I know that people are going to have a lot of practical questions and you're probably going to want to.
Yeah. How do you do it? Let's just go into that real quick.
The basic one would firstly be try putting it on your skin, because one, that's great because we're looking at our faces all the time. So you'll be able to see a difference.
You're saying put it on your face?
Yes.
Guys, let me know in the comments. By the way, up to this point, you're still with us. Have you ever tried your own urine? How did it taste? Are you a believer at this point? Are you going to at least, if you haven't, are you going to try it? I'm going to try it. I'm just letting everyone know. I told you I was going to try it like the next day. I was like, you know what? I'll wait until he comes on the show so that I can actually get the full picture before I just go crazy with this.
Yeah, good.
But I am going to try it.
And what I shared was a little more convincing now. Again, is that right?
Yeah. So you're saying put it on your face to just see if it heals it?
Okay, so the purpose there would be to moisturize your skin. Okay, so now urea is practically the only clinically proven skin moisturizer in the world. Okay, so newsflash, everyone. Urine is the most absorbable substance in the world. Okay, so it will help put the moisture into your skin, because remember, it's the same thing that you did when you went and got like PRP.
Yep. I did that vampire facial thing.
Yeah. Did you notice what color the
went
blood
red?
Went red or yellow? I mean, I've noticed what typically happens.
Oh, well, I don't know if it went yellow. Like I just was covered, like they kept the blood on my face.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So like it's the same concept, because if people keep remembering that urine is blood, It's just filtered blood. And so you're not like a vampire, but you're drinking, it's water but it's a filtration of blood. And, so it's very interesting. But it will help to regenerate and heal. And you'll be actually, interestingly enough, putting stem cells directly onto your skin as well.
Okay.
Like I mentioned, aged urine, like I mentioned with fresh urine, it's a smaller amount, like 140 in a day. And most of those in the morning urine.
140 what?
Stem cells. Clonal stem cells.
Only 140.
If you apply it directly immediately.
Yeah, because you said 100 million.
If you let it sit for 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. So now aged urine, putting that on your skin is going to then that's the epic kind of, that's what the billionaires would try to pay for, but you don't have to pay for it. And
just pee and just let it chill.
It's better because it's your own. It's just amazing. Like one that.
I'm just going to have like wine. I'm going to take my wine cellar and it's just going to have bottles of urine now.
Well, mine does, but it's not.
What if it's like a year old?
Exactly. Amazing. Well, I would say that I'm just of the mindset that I'd push it to 9 months. Why? Because that's what happens in the womb.
Oh, yeah, that's smart.
But I think there's a case that it probably still beneficial. It continues. It goes more alkaline.
I want to hear you get some studies of like what showed with the urine that was aged.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I want. And I'm glad you brought that up. That's what I'm working to fund at the moment, to like see that through and just.
What funding do you need? Just have a bunch of people pee and like just wait it out.
Exactly. Wait it out. And then, but then do that in a controlled
Then
setting.
sell it for 800 million. Like these guys did.
Exactly. Well, I'm trying to think of the mechanism there, but you would, and again, like people will see that I got my heart on my sleeve here. I'm so excited about showing everyone how to do this. So like everyone can do it.
I mean, it's not right. You just pee in a cup and drink it.
Exactly. And then,
right?
Yes. And then the aged urine is interesting.
Like how much urine do I need to drink?
Okay. So I do my full morning urine. And so
whatever was in me that morning, I'm drinking it.
Yes. Yeah.
Is that urine right there?
Yes, it is. I just did this because, some people won't think it's true. And so, yeah, that's it. And this is a good example where it's a plastic bottle, because somebody would be like, oh, I shouldn't drink from plastic, and you shouldn't. But my point is just do what works, because I'm traveling right now. I've got a plastic, just had this bottle. And
so you're going to drink the whole thing. You're going to drink it on
that's
camera.
That's not much. Yeah, I'll do that. But so now,
all right, I get
what's interesting. Oh yeah. And let me smell that. Okay. What does that smell like? It smells fine.
It smells like urine.
Yes. But once you get out of the conditioning, you're like, okay, what does that smell like? It's like, okay, I'm still getting out of the conditioning as well. Right.
How long have you been doing it?
Like 14 months, but it's still like, because I grew up thinking it's gross. I've still got to psych myself up sometimes and be like, yeah, let's do this kind of thing. But,
okay. So he's doing it. You only took a swig, dude.
No, I know. I'm just kind of like being a connoisseur right now, and just like, just like I'm going to explain.
Can you put flavor in it? And like, is that going to damage it? Can I put mayo in it?
You should, because it'll make it more of a habit for you if you make it epic. Like, do something that makes you feel like, I'm so pumped about doing this. I'm going to
convince myself that it's lemon lime Gatorade.
Mm-hmm. So this, I can tell you, doesn't taste good. The reason is because I'm doing it after I ate. And now I'm just getting whatever I ate, which was, what did I eat? But it wasn't.
You ate fake meat, probably.
Oh, I ate like hummus, and
yeah, you can taste it.
Yeah, but the thing was that so that didn't taste great. But if it was the morning urine, it tastes fine and normal because you've been fasting all night. See what I mean?
It filtrates itself. Yeah.
Because that's like, basically I'm getting a breakdown of what I just ate, but it wasn't bad. So I'd be like, I'd do that if I had to. But like, if I did my first one, I'm just being honest, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to just.
Why'd you do it just now? Like, what do you do it just throughout the day?
No, I just did it. I only did that for camera. And that was, yeah. I did that because the
people need to believe.
Exactly. And like, obviously I could have just flavored something, but it clearly looks a bit like urine, right?
Yeah.
And that wasn't much as well. Like,
so that was pretty yellow, dude. So if are you not hydrated or what?
Yeah, clearly. I guess I'm just like adjusting this temperature. Like, my lips are pretty chapped like this.
Oh yeah. Being in Vegas.
Yes. My body is like used to Puerto Rico or whatever. But yeah, more. Okay. So the first thing to do is, because of practical tips, do it when you're super hydrated.
Drink the whole thing from your morning pee.
Yeah, but I don't want to tell people to do that. What I want to tell people to do
just get started.
Anything. Like, do 20 drops, do an enema, do whatever. Like,
no, bro, I go hardcore.
Rocks. I know you do go hardcore. And so,
yeah.
Okay, so you and
I'll save a little bit for my face.
Yes.
And then I'm going to just drink the rest. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get like 3 weeks and I'm going to use that on my face. And I'm going to just keep it next to my peptides. It'll be like my holy elixir of the peptides, the testosterone, and the urine.
Dude, it's epic, bro. It's so epic. I love it. I love it. And then you'll get the guts to do it. And
no, I'm going to drink it still.
The aged urine.
Oh, the aged. Oh, what's that taste like?
Gross.
Really?
But like, okay, I don't want to say it tastes gross. I want to say that it tastes strong. And it's just like a kombucha that's kind of like...
It's kombucha. It's just like the wine, dude. It just gets that flavor enhancement.
Exactly. And kombucha is arguably, it's actually an acquired taste. Alcohol is, I don't drink any alcohol. Alcohol doesn't taste good. It tastes gross.
No, alcohol is an acquired taste for sure.
Exactly. It's kind of like that. So that's what I'm saying. It's kind of like...
Yeah, if you could learn to drink a poison for your body, why can't I drink urine?
Exactly. And the other thing...
Why am I getting judged for this now?
Yeah, exactly. I did actually just grab some like aged urine that was like 5 months old and put it into a blender with like a chocolate protein shake.
How'd that go?
It was fine. Hey, I put it with
Did
ice.
you notice a difference in taste from like a normal protein shake?
Yes, I could taste like there's a bit of a twang to it, but I'm like, but you can't when you do the fresh urine.
Oh, you know what?
Fresh urine is so easy, bro.
Yeah, I wonder if I just did that for my protein shake every morning. People would never know, man. It's just like, look, I literally just drank a protein today. Who knows? Who knows what was in it? You know?
I'm telling you, if you did fresh urine in there, it would arguably taste just the same or maybe even slightly better because...
Slightly. Hey, let's not get... Now we're getting like what'd you say?
Hyperbolic. Yeah,
yeah, like it's not going to taste slightly better.
Here's why it might. Here's why. Because let's say it's a chocolate shake.
Okay. If I had a chocolate bar the night before.
Yeah. Well, okay. What makes like, have you ever had salted chocolate?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. So why does the salt help? See what I'm saying? Okay. So what is urine? Urine.
So I'm going to get a sea salt chocolate.
It is because it's kind of like, it tastes a little bit like seawater. That's actually the best way for me to describe
urine is like seawater. Okay. Yes. All right. That's terrible.
It is exactly. But, oh, here's what's interesting. If you go and soak your body in the ocean for a few hours and then you come out and urinate, your body actually converts the salt water into fresh water. And yeah, I've done this a bunch. And I was just talking to a doctor the other day. I'm like, I've just observed this. I've been observing it. It's like, yeah, that's a thing. Like that's what people need to do if they're in like desperate situations. They should soak themselves in the salt water, go out and urinate, and then collect that urine because it's actually going to filter. It works like a filtration system.
Whoa, that's cool. That actually is cool.
And it's so not salty. It's amazing. Your body converts it. It gets super hydrated.
So you don't have any water. So you just soak and your body absorbs water and you now have to urinate and then you get clean.
And it actually tastes really good. It's crazy. So that is weird. So when you're super hydrated and super, when you're absorbing your water, it tastes good. And so this is why when people do this, they need to actually give it a chance. If they do it and balk at it and like vomit and like say that, oh, this is so stupid, I can't believe I did this, they miss out because their body is adjusting. It's the same when babies like eat vegetables for the first time and their parents have been giving them crap food.
Yeah, they don't like it. Yeah.
They vomit and they cry and they look like they're about to die. And that's what we look like when we're about to take in about 3,000 metabolites at one hit. Our body can't comprehend it. And so we think it's gross, but we're gross.
Yeah.
We don't have enough minerals. So
man, dude, this doesn't taste like a Twinkie.
Exactly.
My Twinkies are way better.
Exactly. Because it's very basic.
The urine is bad, not the Twinkie.
Exactly. But urine is the one super complex. And so complexity, it gets disguised as disgust.
And they're just like, what's my routine? I mean, I'm just going to put the age stuff on my face. I'm going to drink the morning brew.
Yes.
Every morning I'm replacing coffee. Coffee's done.
Good. Yeah, bro. It'll give you way more energy than coffee.
What if I made it in my coffee? How would that play out?
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Okay, so it would taste the same. Like you probably wouldn't notice the difference because coffee is so strong. So think about that. If anyone wants to mask flavor, use...
Dude, I'm kind of thinking about the coffee urine. I'm going to need a different machine though. My wife is not going to allow that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's interesting. I'm not the hugest fan of coffee because the downside with caffeine, but when I drink coffee, I think my urine tastes actually good when I drink coffee. So it's an interesting combination.
Yeah, but like what if instead of water, I just had urine in there?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
And then the urine, got superheated with the coffee.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Is the heating the heating going to mess up?
Yeah, things? I would say. And so it will. I think it will. But I don't know that for a fact.
Hey, let me know after this. Let me do your research because if I could have urine coffee, I'll rename it and people won't even know. It'll be like, this is the Earth's coffee.
Well, I will tell you this. I think that it wouldn't kill it all, and it would be largely.
It might be
good.
slightly less effective.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's typically the case with cooking. But I get your point. It's possible. There's other ways though. Like certainly you could do the iced. Iced is also like.
I'll do an iced urine coffee.
Yeah. Now, exactly. That'd be awesome.
That'd be awesome.
It'd be so good, bro.
Okay.
But whatever brings this into your habit, because then you can.
I think the protein shake's the easiest one, to be honest.
Which one?
The protein shake.
Yes, because like if it's like chocolate,
it's cold anyway. I'm just like, whatever.
Bro, it actually tastes good. It's like, well, if you put a banana in there, like bananas are like super creamy and
no, dude. I mean, my protein right now is literally just water and protein. I don't do, and I drink black coffee and like I do everything just straight up. So inevitably it's just going to be straight up urine. Yeah. But I'm just thinking for the audience, I'm going to just be a straight up urine guy.
Oh, good. Exactly. No, I want to see that.
At what point do I expect to see results?
Yeah, cool. Exactly. So I would say one, your blood cycles generally in 90 days. And so that it's good for people to kind of hold out and really like make some observance.
But like, what am I going to notice? What should I expect? What am I looking for?
There's strange things that happen sometimes for some people. Like I was at a cancer conference. I was talking to all the doctors there. They were all like amazed and they were excited because often I speak at like medical conferences and I'm talking to medical doctors and
I don't know why they let you there, but go on.
I know, right? I was even at like a very alternative conference recently and the MC couldn't even give the name of my presentation. It was too controversial. He just like, his next presenter talks about really,
he's not a doctor, but yeah, he's here.
Yeah, but the doctors like they're typically just absolutely enamored by the conversation. They're very interested. I've never had like
I mean, you're making points that I don't really have a rebuttal to.
Yeah, and same with true with them.
Yeah, and that's why I'm open to it because I am always a skeptic, and so I'm like, all right, I'm listening to what you're saying. I'm looking for the flaws in it, and I'm like, other than just the preconceived notion that it's not good for you, which is never a good thing because almost all the great things I've ever done, my preconception was that it was bad.
Yeah,
and then I can usually pinpoint like the weakness in a argument or a theory or whatever. And I'm like, no, that's just stupid. But with this, I'm like, no, I mean, like you bring up all valid points. I don't have any reason why I wouldn't try it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, like turmeric has 5,000 studies on it. So people should trust it because of that. I would trust urine far more than turmeric because of biology, because we were born in it. I just trust God. Yeah. See what I'm saying? Yeah. I just trust God. I trust the system. Like I have been given no evidence that our body shifted and that our kidneys worked when we were babies and they don't anymore. Yeah. Nobody's even tried to give this argument. And so it's just a redundant argument.
And like I said, I've never heard anything negative from somebody doing it.
Exactly.
Jonathan, he was healthy. Then he started drinking his urine and he got a heart attack.
Yeah, exactly. And it'd be the opposite, right? Where my doctor, like when she saw my blood in May, then in August of this year, hey, look, I need to get on a call. When your doctor wants to get on a call with you and they're kind of,
you're like, oh crap.
Yeah, exactly. And I just, like I believe in this, but I still get really vulnerable. Like my palms are a bit sweaty. Like
people think I'm crazy.
Exactly. And then I'm not knowing whether my blood is just going to look terrible or not because I don't believe in what I'm doing, but I just,
The problem is for me is that now people, when I do this, they're like, dude, you're the guy who drinks your own urine.
Yeah, exactly.
If it works, because if it doesn't work, then I'll be like, yeah, I tried it. It didn't work.
And then you'd be like,
and I'll be like, hey, it's just, I wrap it up to another thing I tried that didn't work. It's all good, but I'm glad I tried. But then if it does work and it becomes a daily thing, well, then I'm just going to be a weirdo.
Well, exactly. But it's good to be weird in today's society.
Yeah, I don't care. But I'm just like, I'm already throwing it out there that like, I might get judged as that guy and I'm never going to, at every event I speak at, they'll be like, dude, so do you really drink your urine? I'd be like, you want to find out? And just like, exactly. I'm gonna be that guy. So
I know it is weird, right? It's one of those things that just you realize what just happened. Where now people laugh, or it's shocking, or like my sister. I was on a helicopter, and somebody yesterday we were seeing the Grand Canyon, and my sister was on She was on another plane. She's so sensitive about this stuff. She gags easily. I had urine in a bottle, and she was. It was in a flask. It was my own flask, but she was like freaking out. She's like, I nearly kissed you. Like, gave me a kiss on the cheek, or you nearly kissed me on the cheek, or gave me. Yeah. And she was freaking out about it. And I was like, but it's sterile, we were born in it. But anyway. And it's just like, it's hard sometimes, but the benefit is, think about what if we're right, and what if this is the most efficacious treatment against cancer, and what if all those people that it starts as like, oh, isn't that funny? Isn't that weird? Ryan, that guy that had that guy, and that now he does that thing, and blah blah blah. But then this is what the situation that happened with Tim Tebow recently, but I'm not going to go into detail there, but just the conversations open up that then can make a difference for others, and that matters. Yeah. And that's beautiful. And if it meant a life saved, if it meant somebody that was battling a life-threatening condition.
Hey, look, if you have a bad condition, I mean, you really have nothing to lose. That's my thing. And I'm all about this with life and business. People like to go back to, I always relate things to business, but it was like when I had to max out all my credit cards to flip my first house, I was like, look, is there a risk? Yeah, for sure. But in my current position, I have more to lose not trying something than I do if this doesn't work. Exactly. Now, in the case of urine, you have nothing financially to lose. You just try this treatment and it works or it doesn't work. Like there's literally no downside, especially if you just do it in secret. Because then you don't even have like the embarrassment downside. You just you do it and you just try it and like whatever. You don't even have to ever tell anyone you do it. You're like, it's weird. I just was miraculously cured. I don't know how it happened. Versus, you go try something that is public, or, you spend all this money and this treatment and it doesn't work. Yeah. Whereas this is like, there's literally no downside.
Exactly. So. Yeah, exactly. And some, I've seen people on their deathbeds, like just a few weeks ago, this one woman, Nancy Henderson, half of her face is just black. Her eyes closed over. She's gone from 140 pounds to 80 pounds. She's dying. She looks like a prisoner of war by her own words. She's showing the photos of this stuff. And then she hears about, one of the series I produced was, Disease in Reverse, and then Absolute Healing. She watches those because that's what I do. I produce these documentary series, we release them for free, and she watches it. She learns about it. She learns about Gloria's story. She then starts doing it. She reverses. She all cleared up. She looks incredible now. She put back on the weight. Urine was the key instrument that she was using. She was putting urine directly on her face. It was clearing this issue that was related to shingles and various things, but the pain, she said, was so bad that anytime she talks about it, she just breaks down crying. And then she said, like, I was going to my my church and I couldn't hear the Bible study teacher, and so I learned from what you were teaching. I started putting in my ears, which remember I mentioned murine, which is a synthetic version of urine for ear. To put in your ears. And remember, a baby in the womb is having urine go into their eyes, into their nose, into their ears, into their mouth, all over their skin, all over their feet, like athlete's foot. It's just everywhere. So it makes sense why it has every functionality. The next weekend after, she's like, I can hear 80% more than what I could hear. I could hear every word that he said. And that was the one thing that she did differently. And we keep seeing all these kinds of stories. I've talked to a lot of people that have like a well past a decade out from a cancer diagnosis or even a terminal cancer diagnosis that had used urine therapy to achieve that as the sole therapy. And Dr. Rashid Buttar, he was the one that had over 120 cancer patients that were stage 3 and stage 4, 10 years past diagnosis. That was just him. It makes sense why he was Robert Kennedy's doctor. He would use a therapy called SOTA, which was autologous, which means healing arising from one's own cells and tissues. Autologous antigen specific oncogenic target acquisition. There's a receptor in there. There's another word in there, receptor. But that therapy they would use where they take the extracts from the urine, they'd inject it. But then when he understood about this other modality, they found it more efficacious. So there's lots of these different people that have all these results. Yeah. Why not, try it, use it and see what results people can get. And I was mentioning about my doctor, then she was like ear to ear grin when she got on the call with me. She's like, look at your markers. Everything is improved. What are you doing? And she didn't actually really know. And she'd heard me talk about it, but then she didn't really know how much I was staying on it. And she didn't know about urine therapy or know how it works. And I was like, well, look, to be honest, I've got off all my supplements. And why would I say this, Ryan, when I have a supplement company? Well of Life is my supplement company. Why would I say this? What am I gaining by telling people that I got off every single one of my supplements, whether it was my company or whether it was somebody else's company, and went solely on urine and just ate food. And then my diet didn't improve because I was just trying to see how this would work.
Isolate.
Yeah. And then, and it was and she would ear to ear grin, like, all your markers have improved. Look at all these things I've been tracking for the last 3 or 4 years, being actually quite worried about you, because I was a very sick kid. I had every blood virus. I had like Ross River fever, glandular fever, cytomegalovirus, Ross River fever, Epstein-Barr. I had chronic boils over my body, whooping cough, and I'd get all these different issues. And chronic fatigue syndrome was the worst. Lyme disease, all of them.
Yeah, you're jacked up.
Yeah, and my mom was just trying to take me around to doctors and trying to see a way they could fix her son. And I was a high school teacher in a previous life.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because I got a degree in journalism and media production, and I started working for World Vision, traveling and doing this documentation. And then I did a postgraduate degree in education so I could teach. And then I just felt a calling to come back into this education and teaching people in this format. But while I was doing that, I felt like I was like, I got to quit full-time work. I can't do this. I'm too tired. I can't handle it. My dad is 70 now, but he would outperform me. We'd go traveling and I'd have to lie down and sleep. He could keep going. I could see that it really upset him. And these were the things, man, that kind of motivate us. And so any win is amazing. And I looked at my future just wondering what is my future going to look like? Yeah. I'm a father of 2 young boys. I have a wife. And I want to give the best to them. And I know that I need to practice what I preach. I need to do my best. And, so it's up to me to kind of show up and be real.
No, I love it, bro. Well, I appreciate you sharing this, man. For anybody listening, I know it's weird, but if you're willing to try it, let me know in the comments, because I'm going to be trying it and I'll share my progress, as time goes on, and I'll let you guys know whether it works or not. But, dude, I appreciate you coming out, and
welcome, bro.
I'll link to all Jonathan's stuff down below for anyone interested, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.
We've got one house to live in for our whole lives. You can't short sell it. You can't sell it. You can't foreclose on it.
But you foreclose, you're dead.
Our bodies, it's better that you take control of it and take care of it now before it's too late, because when it's too late, your kidneys fail, your heart failed, like something